we've been speaking about how the stage 3 tax cuts were designed to address bracket creep. But after Labor's broken promise, Herald Sun business writer Terry McCrann this week writes that it's Albanese and Chalmers who are the new bracket creeps. And Terry, the man himself, joins me now. Welcome to the program, Very Funny Line. Terry, what's your assessment on the broken promise on stage 3 tax cuts announced today by Albanese? And do you think this is classic Labor wealth redistribution?
Short answer, yes, Sharri, to that second question. The first question, obviously, is the broken promise. I mean, that's absolutely clear-cut. It's absolutely undeniable. Although I don't think the Prime Minister's doing his credibility, his battered credibility, any great credit by attempting to sort of pretend that it's not a broken promise. But I think more fundamentally, what's got lost in this discussion, Sharri, is what we are seeing is a proposal to dramatically increase the rate of taxation on anyone earning more than $135,000. Now, $135,000 used to be a high income. It's not that such a high income today. I mean, many people in the trade union movement, particularly in some of the key unions, are earning those sorts of sums and considerably higher. So this is a direct attack by increasing from 30 cents, which is currently the law. It's come July 1. The law is that somebody on 135,000 plus would face a marginal tax rate of 30 cents. This is increasing that to 37 cents. So you are getting a tax hike, not a reduced tax cut. And then secondly, as you've indicated, Sharri, bracket creep. The old fingers of bracket creep into your any increases in pay you get and take 30 cents, at least 30 cents in the dollar of any increase.
So look, just picking up on that point. So under the original stage 3 tax cuts, you would have had 30 cents in the dollar for everyone earning from $45,000 to $200,000. Now it's going to return to the 37% bracket. So as you say, that is a tax hike. But also, what does this mean for the fact that the tax thresholds then won't have been adjusted since 2008? I mean, this is good for the budget bottom line. I mean, this is why they're doing it, isn't it? For more revenue.
Well, absolutely, Sharri. I mean, Willie Sutton, that famous Depression-era bank robber, was asked, why do I rob banks? And he said, that's because that's where the money is. And where the money is in the Australian economy are ordinary, the 15 million plus ordinary Australian workers, ordinary Australian taxpayers, and the taxes on their incomes can contribute by far the biggest amount of tax that the federal government raises. Second, of course, is company tax, and a much lower figure. So this government, all governments, are not about cutting the taxes on ordinary Australians. They are about increasing them, and they either do it, and they found this magic pudding of bracket creep. By having these high tax brackets, you don't have to actually say, we want to lift taxes. You just let inflation, you just let wage increases increase the amount of tax, the percentage of tax that ordinary Australians suffer. So we've had a situation, Sharri, where wages have been failing to keep pace with inflation, and on top of that, a bigger slice of those under pressure wages to be taken in income tax. So it's been a double hit. And what the government has done is made that considerably worse than it would have been if the stage 3 tax cuts were not going to be repealed.
Look, you've made the point that originally, the government claimed that, well, the budget figures were forecasting a deficit of $56 billion in this coming financial year. That's when the stage 3 tax cuts were supposed to start. Now the budget numbers forecast a deficit of just $1 billion. So it's not like they couldn't have afforded to stick with their election promise, fulfil stage 3, but perhaps give more cost of living relief as well to vulnerable Australians, and no one would have objected to that.
Exactly, Sharri. I mean, clearly the Prime Minister, the Treasurer, worked up this patter of saying all these things have changed. We've had a global pandemic. We've had the incredible impact of the war in Ukraine, and et cetera, and this has changed things. So we have to change things, but the critically important point, Sharri, as you've indicated, is that when the promise was made in May 2022, we knew all those things. We knew what you knew about COVID. We knew about the recovery from COVID. We knew about the inflation that we were beginning to experience. And secondly, they were prepared to make that promise to keep the tax cuts, knowing that they were facing a big budget deficit. Now they're facing a budget surplus. So there's no way you can argue that the tax cuts can't be afforded. What this government could have done was maintain the stage 3 tax cuts and deliver that targeted tax relief to lower and middle income earners. They could have had their cake and allowed taxpayers to eat it at the same time.
And no one would have complained and there would have been no broken promise. It's
absolutely
really quite perplexing why the Prime Minister didn't do that, and it makes you worried about his political instincts and his advisors. Terry McCrann, thank you so much for your time.